Hello everyone, and welcome to a new first taste for the channel where we're going to be checking out the roguelike Stoneshard. Developed by Ink Stains Games, that is plural, Stains, that has caught me out more than once, and published by Hype Train Digital. Stoneshard entered early access on Steam around the 6th of February, and since then I've had an opportunity to spend more than a few hours playing the game, and I'm very, very pleased to announce that this is a game that is roguelike in more than just name. Not something that all games that aspire to the roguelike genre can actually claim, but Stoneshard has a lot in common. It has more than a passing resemblance to rogue and classic roguelikes, whilst also bringing in modern elements, quality of life, mechanics, general enhancements, and of course, graphics. It is presented in a gorgeous pixel art style that I'm a very big fan of. Now, with that said and done, we're going to be jumping into the game's prologue, though I've got a sneaking suspicion this may actually stretch out over more than one episode. Beyond that, there is more game besides, so for those of you who have tried out the prologue, which I believe was kind of released as a sort of demo during the game's much earlier state of development, aside from the obvious balances, tweaks, and polish that has been added to the prologue, there is a lot more content now than was previously in the game, so it may be worth a revisit. This is a first taste, but if you are interested in seeing more of the game beyond the prologue, then do let me know down in the comments below, or with a like on the video, or both if you're particularly interested. But with that said and done, let's just jump into a new game. We are going to be playing on permanent death mode because, I mean, it's a roguelike. For me, it adds quite a lot to the experience of roguelikes. So with that, let's get into the game.
Damn it. Where am I?
I would hazard a guess that we're in a dungeon.
You are awake.
It might be a Fungeon.
For the ritual. We'll have a use for you so very soon.
Typically, rituals and dungeons does imply a Fungeon, but the way this guy talks about it, I've got a funny feeling it's not the fun kind of dungeon.
Don't try anything funny or you'll end up like one of your friends. Perhaps I should check on him again. All that fresh blood, that must have drained by now.
Curses.
Well,
doesn't look like we won that fight.
that is a fair assessment. Either that or it was a really grim fight if this is the consequence of winning.
I need to get out of here before this bastard returns. Looks like my shackles are rusted to the core.
And here we go. We are now somewhat on rails. The game is going to take a very, very involved approach to teaching us the mechanics through part of the prologue, and then it's going to unleash us into the wilds for the latter half of the prologue, and just hopefully we'll be able to employ what it has taught us up to then. But I will probably move through the hints and tips fairly quickly, as again, I've played for a good couple of hours at this point. Just pop those shackles off there. World's worth shackles.
Your bad feeling was spot on this time.
Note to self, listen to Locke in the future. Wow, I mean,
move. No
wish
offense,
that I'd
buddy,
listened to Locke.
But you won't need all these things anymore.
And that is completely fair. If, for the record, anyone is in a traveling party with me and we end up getting ambushed by possibly crazy cultists and then shoved in a dungeon and I don't make it, you are 100% allowed to take all of my belongings and my body parts, honestly. If you can use one of my limbs to beat a guard to death with, by all means, I don't need it anymore. And I'd like to believe that I helped, even in my death. You're suffering from hunger and thirst. The stronger they are, the worse your overall condition is. Very well. We can take care of those in our inventory very easily. There we go. Chomp, chomp, chomp. And drink that water down. Now, there are so many stats in this game. I'm not even going to begin to cover all of them. Otherwise, this first taste will end up being a mini-series. But suffice it to say, if you want to pause and have a look at all of the different metrics that the game is tracking, it'll give you an idea of how complex the simulations are. Suffice it to say, it is a bit of a survival game. You do need to eat and drink, and also take care of a lot of other things like your health. There we go. Which isn't a case of just HP.
Got to arm myself and find the rest.
Very well. This game has a sort of passing resemblance to Unreal World in a sense, for those of you who are familiar with that game, in that the combat system, you've got wounds on your body, and your limbs track the damage independently, and I always enjoy these kinds of systems. Now, let's have a quick peek in every cell. No, nothing there, unfortunately. I've got you can move around with the mouse, or you can move around with arrow keys. Can you use WASD? No, you can't. WASD does other things, but if you've got numlock on, then you should be able to make your way around. Did we not pick it? There we go, that's a bit better. Really? More rubbish. Damn it. Okay.
The cages are unlocked, and blood trails are fresh. Looks like everyone was taken somewhere. Seems like I was the only one to be left in the dungeon. That's strange.
Is it, though? I mean, you already said that they're going to have a use for us very soon. I think it's fair to say they might be saving us for something special. Nothing there. Now, the game is still effectively procedural, so a lot of things are being set up procedurally, even through the prologue, but the map layout is more or less set in stone, and there's some key things that will always be there. Gold ring will give us a little bit more magic power and a bit more energy to spend. Lovely. I approve.
How did you get out?
I mean,
You are dead!
you put the world's worst shackles on me, you shoved my friend into the cell, who was dead or dying, didn't bother searching him, and you left me alone. I feel that at this point, really you only have yourself to blame, honestly. Right, it's a turn-based game where almost every action takes a turn. There are some very few things that don't. Generally, you can inspect. For example, if we right-click here and inspect, like so, this doesn't cost an action. We're just seeing that. But any kind of inventory interaction, picking something up, using something in your inventory, you can shuffle them around, make room in your inventory, and that doesn't count as using it. But more or less, everything else in the game is an atomic action. And what I mean by atomic is it's indivisible. You can't use half of your turn. You don't tend to have a speed stat that means that you take 1.5 turns to move because you're slower than a very agile enemy who can do actions and take every now and then take 2 actions in a turn. More or less, everything takes a turn. Moving, attacking, what have you. It's a fairly common thing for roguelikes, though some of them do employ a kind of speed or initiative stat, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. Right, we are going to want you to step in close. We didn't really want to pass a turn there. We wanted to let them approach us at the same time because that means our first action, now that we're right next to each other, is to attack. But if you don't plan out your movements carefully, you can end up with the enemy, you close in, and then they can just use their turn to wallop you because you used yours to get up close and into wallopable range. Right, there we go. That was a fairly straightforward fight there. No abilities were used. This is a fairly low guard. But now we've got a Shiv, which is in almost every way better than our Iron Bar. It does more damage, it has bleed chance, crit chance, it does fumble. Or rather, it's got a 1% higher chance of fumbling. Now, when something fumbles, you basically do half damage. But it reduces skill costs. We've not got any skills yet to use, but it's quite nice. But this affords us the opportunity to note that yes, you can absolutely dual wield, and in many cases that is a very, very useful thing to do. However, I will say that when you dual wield, we look here, our main hand efficiency is 100%, so we're going to do 100% of our main hand's weapon. If we pop anything into our offhand, that drops to 80%, so we're now only doing 80% damage, and our offhand only gets 60% efficiency, so it only does 7 damage. But still, that is better. If you have nothing else put in your offhand, you may as well put in another weapon. You will use both of them every time you attack.
Burn. Bled to death. Such a foolish way to go.
Wop wop.
Looks like there is a trap. I have to take a look around unless I want to share his fate.
Now, the game does have a detect traps ability, but in many cases, and this is true even in the procedurally generated dungeons in the larger game beyond the prologue, just watch, look around, take visual clues. Burn started bleeding here. That is suspicious in and of itself. It's also a massive choke point. But yes, there we go. We've got the trap there. We can have a look at disarming or avoiding. If you hover over things, it'll typically give you a good idea of what your chances are. Obviously, disarming is our best choice there. And Burn isn't going to need his peasant sash anymore. Now, with this, that's going to drop our fumble chance on our Shiv to nothing, which is actually quite nice. There we go.
Damn, I forgot about my leg. Hurts more and more. I need to find something to treat the wound before it festers.
Yes, let's not get a gangrenous leg. Right, pain. Now, the game, as I mentioned, does have a fantastic wound system. If we have a look over here, we've got different trackers for our legs, left and right, hands, left and right, not arms though, torso and head. And as we can see down here, our right leg is wounded. Now, that doesn't mean that we've lost some hit points. You notice down here the little bit of a black bar on our health bar is the percentage of our maximum health that we have lost. We cannot heal beyond the reduced maximum health for a number of reasons. Our right hand is a little bit hurt, so we've dropped our maximum health threshold. Same with our left hand and our left leg. But our right leg is actually wounded, and a wound is different from just being hurt. We've got additional effects due to the wound. So if we have a look at the wound, our morale is going to change. So we're just generally not happy about this, and it's going to get worse the longer it persists. Our pain limit has increased. Our dodge chance has decreased. Noise produced. I think that's amazing. Our leg is hurt, so we're going to be dragging it around. We're not going to be as capable of being stealthy. It costs us a little bit more energy to do things, and our pain is just going to keep getting worse over time, and that is super bad, because 25, 50%, and 75% pain, we incur worse and worse effects. And yes, the astute amongst you have probably already noticed that there is a sanity meter. I adore sanity metrics in games. That being said, a bit of a caveat, I adore good sanity mechanics in games.
Find something in them.
Okay. Let's have a look then. If you hold down Alt, you get a bit of a readout, though that doesn't always show up everything. For example, destroyable barrels don't seem to have any indication when you hold down Alt. So it's always worth your time just mousing over things. All right, let's have a look in here. Now, we've got a lot of good stuff in here. The wound system, as I've said already, is pretty expansive in this game. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with it. That being said, we're probably... Well, you know what? Since I've got no reason, not to. I'm going to bring all of this, but we're not going to need, or at least I should hope we won't need all of this. Different things do different stuff, though, and we're about to be taught about that.
Can use this.
Okay. Right, so open the health tab and stabilize the injury. Very well. Let's bring all of these up. Now, again, this is an actual wound. So the first thing we want to do is we want to stabilize it, because whilst we've got that wound, it's going to make things worse. This body part is wounded. Its current condition reduces your maximum health threshold by 6. If we have a look over here, stabilizes the injury of a selected body part. Can only be applied to injured body parts. Now, as a result, we can't apply the splint over here because it's not wounded. I mean, it uses the word injury and wound a bit interchangeably, which is a bit of a shame. If a selected body part is injured, salve's healing efficiency is reduced by 50%. So we don't want to just slap on a healing salve because we've probably got a broken leg or something. So we're going to splint this. You can just use the contextual menu on the item, or just right click on the leg or the wound, and we're going to apply the splint there. There we go. It is now being improved. Stabilized injuries retain their negative effect, but no longer accumulate pain. When your body part condition is restored to a certain threshold, it'll heal completely. To accelerate this process, use a healing salve, which will now be a little bit more effective. So, Bob, there we go. It is all gone. Now, we are still left with rather large amounts of pain. 41% to be exact. We can use an ether inhaler. This bizarre vessel was invented a couple of decades ago by the Alchemists Guild. Its fumes are poisonous, but they ease pain and clear the mind. Very well, this will add intoxication. It'll reduce our pain by 75%, which is more than enough, but it'll also make us immune to pain for 30 turns. And it'll give us a little boost to our sanity. Note that we need it right now. Unfortunately, we are now intoxicated. Most painkillers are toxic and will increase your intoxication. Intoxication is detrimental to your character's condition and is incredibly dangerous if it reaches high enough numbers. Inject an antidote to get rid of it. Now, intoxication, much as you will probably see in most games, usually it's you drink and you get a bit drunk and they'll call it intoxication. In this, is pretty much everything that is toxic. Drink, very mild levels of intoxication. If I quaffed a potion of mercury, though, probably not going to be very good for my health. I would need many antidotes at that point. Intoxication goes down by 75%. Health replenishment goes down a little bit, though. And poison resistance will be increased dramatically for 30 turns, but it will cause confusion. It will also remove poisoning. This ingenious contraption performed a breakthrough in treatment of poisonings. Recurring headaches are not too big of a price for saving lives. I mean, I'm all aboard for that. You feel better, but your health is still low. The best way to restore health is to use rest mode, which is only available out of battle. Resting also accelerates your hunger and thirst gain, so it should be used sparingly. We may deal with that, but first there's a couple of things in here I'd like to grab, and yes, we're a bit clumsy right now because of the use of I believe it was the ether inhaler. Our dodge chance is really messed up, and our fumble chance is actually quite high. But there we go, we've just picked up a doublet, and this is more or less just a straight upgrade in every possible way, so we're not even going to keep the old one. Increases stealth, increases a spate of resistance, and gives 1 protection. Now, protection is straight up damage absorption. For every point of protection you have, you will reduce incoming damage by that much, and then it will be applied through your resistances. There's also blocking, but that's a little bit more of a complicated mechanic, and we'll get to that once I have something that can really show it off. Some traveling shoes, well, I mean, better than nothing. Noise produced, minus 10%. I approve. Shoes like these are cheap and wear well, the qualities which attract all kinds of vagabonds. What are you trying to say to me, game? How dare. And in here we have, I mean, this is the prologue. It wants to let you feel out the game. So you have access to pretty much all types of weapons. None of them are particularly good instances of those weapons, but we have our pick. Now, we've got great swords, staffs, axes, shields, and the bow and arrow. Now, you've got a weapon set, so we're going to set up a bow and arrow on there. Whether we use it or not, I don't know. Now, we could go with sword and board, or axe and board if we particularly wanted to, but I'm a big fan of dual wielding, so I think we're going to go with the sword and the axe. Now, the shiv is a dagger. If it was a sword, I'd probably keep it there, simply because that would allow us to have 2 weapons that would benefit from the same skill tree. This is a classless effect. Well, it's not a levelless game. You gain skill points as you level, so it's quite a leveled game. But it doesn't have any kind of mysterious, oh, you're this level, that means you are just inherently harder to beat. You have to build your character with intelligent choices in how you spend your skill points and stat points to make the kind of character that will complement the playstyle that you typically have. Now, we have upgraded quite considerably with our damages, and there's something to be said about using 2 weapons of the same type versus 2 different weapons.
That's
but
at least I'll live. Time to move.
I mean, that's a bit premature. We don't know if that's going to be the case. But you can, again, having 2 weapons that both feed off the same skill tree means you got twice as much bang for buck from spending skill points. But having 2 means you've got access to 2 skill trees. And when skills have cooldowns, that becomes a bit of something to concern yourself with. Now, I'm going to switch to my bow because I know there's someone down the end of this hallway, and I would like to try and blink them a few times. Now, let's take a shot. There we go. That was a good shot. We actually hit him. Wow. Okay, well, I'm not going to be able to show you what I was hoping to show you. Damn it, game. Making me unintentionally awesome. You've leveled up. Each new level allows you to learn a new ability and improve your attribute. I agree, and I'm very happy with this being the case. You mostly get stronger by acquiring new abilities and finding better equipment. Attributes have a less distinct effect, just slightly improving various aspects of your character. Let's go ahead and spend an ability point now, or an attribute point. I think since we're going sword and axes, we're going to pop a point into strength. It is nice to have higher range damage and accuracy, but I think we're going to pop a point into willpower for magic, which is me knowing what's coming up a little bit. Right, there we go. We'll grab that arrow. You will sometimes get your arrows back from anyone you kill with the arrows. They will have a certain amount of those arrows sticking in them, and when you slay them, you can pull them back out. But what I wanted to show you with the bows is that this has an accuracy malice of 60%. That is not because this is a particularly bad bow. Even good bows are going to be like 40%. Bows are inherently inaccurate. At the beginning, I was like, well, that's just not true. Especially once you put points into the skills, you should be, you know, even an untrained person can usually put an arrow in the general vicinity of what they're aiming at. But from what I can tell, the accuracy malice on bows is the idea that this is basically a hip fire. We're not even trying to do anything beyond a cursory glance in the direction we want to send the arrow. We're not aiming at all. We're just knocking the arrow and letting fly straight away. There are skills that allow you to take aim and that largely or completely negate this malice. But bows are inherently inaccurate. So don't just pick up a bow and expect to hit even, 75% of shots. Quite often you'll miss more often than you will land the bow unless you're taking time to aim it with skills. That was just something that caught me very much off guard when I first started playing. Right, let's have a look. Manshire Fortified. Marvellous. Thirst, minus 15%. Intoxication, plus 5%. Pain, minus 20. Morale, plus 10. Does make you drunk, though. Which, in addition to mechanic effects, gives a kind of glaring visual effect that I'm not a massive fan of. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm not a huge fan of visual drunk effects because it's like, really?
Bah, a pyromantic treatise. Just like the good old times in the academy. Got to recall a spell or two.
Fantastic. Let's go and have a quick look then. Some abilities aren't initially available for learning. To unlock them, you need to find and read the corresponding treatise. You've just found one of them. This treatise will allow you to begin your study of the pyromancy skill tree. Open your inventory, summon the treatise context menu, and choose the read option. Very well. Consider it done. All right, let's have a look here. All of the books actually have text. It's genuinely quite fun. I'm not going to read it because we will be here for quite some time otherwise, but for those who are curious, I will page through. I spent a good long while during the stream of this game when I was checking out the prologue for the first time, reading all the books. Must have been about an hour. It is, as far as I'm aware, there are now less books to read. The game is very generous in that it just unlocks certain skill trees for you as you proceed through the prologue. But yeah, there is a lot of stuff to find in these books, and it is really, really cool. So if you are playing it for yourself and you aren't a little bit concerned with time as I am, do take time to have a quick look. Right, now you can learn your freshly unlocked abilities. Fantastic. Let's go and pick up the barrage skill. Now, on skills, the completely grayed out skill trees, they're not implemented in the game at yet. And of the ones that aren't grayed out, only the basic skill trees, or basic skills tree, doesn't have all of the skills implemented in it. But all of the others are fully fleshed out, and if you pick up the treaties in-game, then you can learn pretty much all of the skills available. But we're going to be picking up a Fire Barrage. Type a target tile, range 5, energy 16, cooldown 4 turns, modified by magic power. Launches a flurry of 3 firebolts at the target, each dealing 6 fire damage. Each firebolt deals an additional 50% damage to a burning target. So if they're already on fire, possibly because you hit them with firebolt, then you can hurt them even more with the next load. But one thing to note on the passive bonus, I mean, some of them have more than one passive bonus, but almost all of them have something about pyromantic power. And that seems to be the game's way of encouraging people to kind of drill down into a specific skill tree. Sure, you could be the jack of all trades and pick up a spattering of skills in all sorts of different trees, but the more you focus on one tree, the better every skill in that tree becomes as a consequence, which I think is quite a neat little mechanic there. Now, I do believe there's going to be a scallywag right through this door. Indeed, there was. First things first, let's try and set you on fire. There we are. Now, we could just hang tight and go toe-to-toe with him, but we're going to play it tactically, and we're going to try and back up and then kill you with firebolts. Now, that is fire on the floor, and stepping on it would be kind of dumb. Right, in here we have the beginning of some lore. Now, I will be reading through these because it does actually flesh out the game's lore a fair old bit. So first and foremost, Third of Reaping. Our brothers toiled well today. I hope that the coming harvest will recompense us for our hard work as it was last year. Another few bountiful seasons and we shall be able to save enough gold to patch our shabby cloister. Patience and diligence are truly the greatest virtues. Fifth of Reaping. This night, Brother Albert went down with a sudden fever. The heat from his body is so severe one can burn a hand on him. I have no idea how he managed to catch a cold like this. Perhaps he worked in the rain. It wouldn't be his first time. I left a couple of brothers at Albert's side and sent to Manshire for a healer. Herbal poultices and earnest prayer should be more than enough to cure this ailment. Sixth of Reaping, the next day. Since the last night, Brother Albert has stopped recognizing any of us. He keeps on babbling some nonsense, but no one can make sense of it. The healer spent an entire night by his bedside, tried all of his potions, but it was no use. We ended up paying him and sending him back. If Albert doesn't get better soon by himself, it will be his funeral we'll have to pay for. Sixth of Reaping, evening. Brother Irv is sick as well. It's not a cold. Now, it speaks about Manshire in here, and if we have a look at the Manshire fortified, now that the vineyards of Manshire have been ravaged by war, it's hard to find any good wine. This is clearly old stock. It may be a tie, might not be though. But let's have a look at diary page 1. 10th of Reaping, so about 4 days later. The miasma of this horrible disease now permeates the entire monastery. Half our brothers are delirious. Their bodies are riddled with scabs and boils. Blood is seeping through their pores, and we can't do anything to ease their suffering. I declared a quarantine and ordered to lock down everyone who showed signs of the disease in the catacombs, but I fear it's all in vain. The rest will go down sick in a couple of days. The host give me strength to preserve and save our congregation. So, it seems the monastery fell on hard times, which does kind of make sense, considering, it clearly is full of crazy maniacs and also mostly destroyed. Right, search the shelves. Well, first and foremost, just to illustrate, holding down Alt does not highlight these barrels. So you do have to be aware of those. But we're going to grab up these diaries and we'll continue the lore right now. So diary page 2. 14th of Reaping. So another 4 days have passed. Today the entire neighbourhood gathered around our monastery. The healer had brought the disease back to Manshire. Blood was leaking from their eyes. They were hopelessly sick. I prohibited anyone to go outside. Then they tried to break in. A few brothers lost their lives, but we managed to push them back from the gates. When the crazed crowd tried to burn us alive along with the building, I had to break the quarantine and bring even the healthy brothers into the catacombs. Truly out of the frying pan and into the fire. And the last note, covered in blood, and really hard to read as a result. Blood gets into my eyes and drips down onto the parchment. Yes, we did notice. We are doomed. In these sinister depths, even time itself flows differently. I've lost the count of days. When was the last time I left my cell? A couple of hours? A day? A week? I may be the only one who's still alive. Every night I'm haunted by visions. As the candlelight fades, shadowy figures step out from the darkness. Their wheedling whispers drive me crazy. The host is silent. The host is deaf to our prayers. The host betrayed us. Where do I seek strength to fight back the temptation? To break the oath? A cure. A cure. All I ask for is to be cured. Well, I certainly hope you did get a cure, but I suspect you probably did. Right, Geomantic Treatise, written by Johan of Bryn. The travelling notes on my journey to Beast, which will teach us runic boulder, stone armor, and rune of enfeeblement. Let's have a read of this then. Again, I'm not going to read through the fluff text in the skill books, but if you are interested, do have a look. And actually, on that note, as a general bit of curiosity, how do you generally feel when content creators do skip forward and just pause for a moment so that you can read it if you're interested? Do you prefer to just hear it be read out by the person playing the game, or are you thankful for not having to read everything when it might be the case that you're not particularly interested in some things? But if you are, you can take the time to read it yourself. Do let me know down in the comments below. I am genuinely interested. We're going to grab that because they're worth a bloody fortune. But then again, books often were in medieval times, and this is, while it's not a medieval simulator by any stretch of the imagination, the crazy cults and magic and all of that, but still it does have I've heard someone describe this as Skyrim the roguelike. And I think that's probably a reasonable assessment of the game in many ways. Right, an identification scroll, fairly humdrum for these sorts of games. It's an important item which allows a variety of interactions with your equipment, or rather scrolls are. Occasionally you may find unidentified items with unknown properties. To learn them, you will need to use the identification scroll. Some unidentified items are cursed. Once you equip them, you can no longer let them go unless you use a disenchantment scroll. Now, a word of warning with these. They disenchant everything. They completely purge the item with magic. They use magic to purge the item of magic. Curse and enchantments, all. And enchantment scrolls allow you to improve your equipment by applying various beneficial effects. Now, this doesn't work as it does in some games where you'd enchant a sword and it becomes a +1 sword of scallywaggery slaying. And then you'd apply another enchantment and it would either become a +2 sword of scallywaggery slaying, or it would become a +1 sword of scallywaggery slaying of the godly whale, which gives you extra HP or something. That is not the case here. If you apply an enchantment scroll to anything, it completely re-rolls all of the enchantments. You'll lose whatever's on it, and you might get better ones, or you might get worse ones as a direct consequence. So be aware of that one. Again, that one kind of caught me off guard. Unfortunately, I was not best pleased, I will confess. Right, we've got 1 disenchantment scroll, 1 enchantment scroll, and 3 identify scrolls. That seems fair. I'm going to go ahead and drop the lore bits and bobs now. They are taking up a fair old bit of room in my inventory that I don't necessarily think we need to use. There is an auto sort button, and it does a job, but it doesn't really keep your inventory particularly well organized, in my opinion. It's a little bit better just to eyeball it yourself. Right, there we go. Let's head on down. The tutorial is complete. Now you're on your own. Survive and find your way to the next floor. There we go. The rails are gone. The minecart has crashed. Thankfully, we had the forethought to leap out at the last moment, and we didn't end up upended and slammed into a wall along with the mangled minecart, but we are now thoroughly off the rails, and the game can and will try to kill you from here on out. Everything up to now generally is the odds have been so stacked in your favor, you may as well just walked through it. You would have had to have tried to die in the level above, but here, that is definitely not the case. Finale. Remember, you're not the chosen one. Many enemies are just as powerful as you are. Quite a lot of them are more powerful. Be careful. Don't mindlessly charge ahead. Avoid fighting with multiple opponents at once. Try forcing one-on-one combat and use your surroundings. Good luck. Good advice, then. Right, so here on out, the enemies are genuinely a threat. So let's have a quick look. An immolated proselyte, or rather a proselyte immolated. Vampire, Crimson Court. It is hostile to us. Well, yes. But with this, we can have a look at their abilities, and I strongly recommend you always check the abilities of any new enemy. Willing Sacrifice, type, no target, energy 10, cooldown 125. So once this is used, we don't have to worry about it being used again. It'll activate for 10 turns. Each time the caster takes damage, the same amount of health is replenished for their allies within the caster's vision, and their active cooldowns are reduced by 1. So if this enemy were in a group and it used this ability, that would be bad news bears for you. Immolation, passive. On death, grants Blood Oath for 10 to all adjacent vampires and proselytes. Plus 25% life drain, plus 50% healing efficiency, and minus 25% energy cost. So really what you would want to do is take this fella out last, because they would buff the dickens out of all your enemies if you take them down first. Now, as you can see, we hit twice because that was our regular attack. They hit us, they counterattacked, and then attacked us, and then we counterattacked them. So a lot of things went on there. If we have a quick look, they're now down to 11% health. There we go. So their ability had no one to work on, which is just as well. At this point, do use your sight as often as you can, your senses to check for traps, because they will be there. Right, let's try and take you out, shall we? No, you've noticed me now. The rat was suspicious of us before, and was generally heading in our direction, but was not going to be, was not aware of us. So if it had any abilities, it wouldn't have been able to use those abilities. But the moment it became aware of us and actually had the exclamation marks above its head, that was, oh, hello. That was a time where we were going to have to deal with it. And it could have used any ranged abilities it had, as the Banshee-like creature here just did. The Proselyte Harbinger. Proselyte women aren't uncommon, but many of them can't withstand the transformation and lose their mind in the process, turning into raving furies. Baleful Scream. Lets out a scream, dealing 7 psionic damage to its target. Has 75% chance to daze its target for 2 turns, or confuse it for 4 turns. Okay. But it has a cooldown of 9 turns. We've been dazed, so knockback resistance is down, stun resistance, psionic resistance is down, fumble chance is up. We can't use abilities for 2 turns. Okay, well, I can just shimmy on back until I can use this ability. There we go. Now, they restored 2 energy. Why was that? Was that just their energy restoration? It probably was, actually. Sacred resistance, yeah, they're not particularly resistant to sacred attacks. What is your health? 56%. That's not particularly great for us, I'll be honest. And they are getting a bit of life drain when they hurt us with unholy damage. Now let's switch back to our bow. Are there arrows around that I can pick up? Is anything down there? Nothing too much. Now, I like having a bow as a backup weapon, but it's not generally the first thing I would reach for. Okay, this continues up. So we're honestly at a junction here. We can go either way, and generally speaking, every time you enter a new room, use your ability to search for traps. I don't know what the range is on that. Whether it's you'll automatically find traps for a short period if they're within your field of vision, or if it'll reveal all traps within a certain range of you when you use the ability. I really don't know, but definitely seems to be a wise thing to do. Thank goodness, some more arrows, and nothing on the shelf. Now we have a look down here. We picked up a whole stack of arrows, so now we've got some spare arrows as well. I'm not really sure if I'm going to go for a ranged build here, but maybe. Enchantment scroll, I approve, and we'll take this for now since we've got it, but we've got a hat. Let's go ahead and find out what kind of hat this is. Identify. It is a cursed hat. The cursed steady peasant hat. Block chance plus 3%. Curse of Sufferjoy. 13% crit chance. 5% chance to increase pain each turn. Kill enemies to reduce the chance. I'm almost tempted to stick this on my head and find out how exactly that works, but no, we're going to use this. Womp. And there we are. It's now just a common hat, but I could use an enchant scroll. Me as well. Now it's a blessed peasant hat. From cursed to blessed. That's pretty good. And holy resistance plus 2. Health plus 4. Okay, I like it. Let's stick that on our head. And yes, we do, in fact, change our look as we put things on, which is amazing, if you ask me. Now, I'm going to have my sword and axe ready, just in case there's something right behind this door. There is not, so I'm going to switch back to my bow. Now remember, like most things take a full turn to do, so when I'm switching out which weapons I'm using a turn to do that. Something just spotted me. Where? Ah, there we are. Okay, so your abilities. Vampiric Blood. Replenishes 6% max health and 12% max energy. Activates the following effect for 3 turns. 20% life drain, replenishes... Okay, well, that's actually kind of nasty. Lash Blessing. Strikes himself or an ally with a lash with minus 75% damage and activates Battle Rage for 10 turns. Or Driven by Pain. Grants plus 1.25% damage, plus 0.5 accuracy, minus 0.5 damage taken, and plus 0.25% crit chance for each missing percent of health. My lord! And that's a passive. That's actually kind of horrible. Pain is the best proof of devotion. Flagellants incessantly torment themselves, hoping to garner favor from their god. No. Thank you. Right, we're going to start backing up. Oh, you managed to get an attack off there. I'm not sure. Yeah, we're not going to be able to get back very far. Let's have a quick look. Well, let's drop this down. We might set them on fire if we're lucky. We did not. Switching my weapon. Unfortunately, we've lost a lot of turns there. We did get a crit there. Nice. They lost 17 health. Okay, so effects currently Battle Rage, Bleeding, and Vampiric Blood. So, deals damage +2, energy restoration -5, healing efficiency -30. Each turn reduces the affected body part by 1%. Okay. Let's keep going though. We're in pain now, which is unfortunate, and they've dropped the flail. I'm just going to go ahead and close that door. I don't want to know what's on the other side of it for now. But we just got a flail. Let's have a quick look at this. Does 20 crushing damage, -8 because of its poor state of repair. Honestly, looking at that, I might be tempted to swap it out, but the damage on it pushes me away from that option. Okay, we need to deal with our pain. Actually, no, second wind. Forces healed +50%, energy restoration +100, healing efficiency +100. Health and energy are replenished. All negative status effects are temporarily negated. Certain doom? Not today. I like it. But our head is hurting. That's not very good. We're also quite thirsty, so let's have a drink. Well, we're also hungry. Okay, these are just beets, so they're not all... if they were a more juicy meal, we might get a little bit of thirst quenching from that as well. But we're just going to go ahead and eat the beets. There we are. Our immunity is increasing. From being well-fed and generally taking good care of ourselves, our likelihood of being afflicted by status maladies goes down a wee bit. Now, we could just wait and see if we can heal up through some of this, and I'm inclined to do so. Knew that was going to happen. That's why I kept my sword and shield, axe out. Okay, vampiric blood craze is a proselyte outcast. Those cultists whose body rejected the gift become outcasts. Driven completely insane, they drag out a miserable existence as fighting animals. Okay. Well, that's delightful. Okay, I should have moved a little bit further away from the door, but I didn't want to be in sight of this area because, as you saw, our vision radius got dramatically reduced while we were resting. Because basically, I imagine we closed our eyes. There we go. Right, once again, let's close that door. We could attack the door and make it permanently impossible to close it, but... I think at this point, maybe we should go ahead and use some of our healing bombs. So I'm going to go ahead and apply a healing salve there. Healing salve on my torso. And a healing salve on our leg. I mean, we've got quite a lot of these salves, so might as well start using them. There we are. That's a bit better. Now, let's see if we can rest again. Listen out for the door. No, looks like we're okay. Perfect. All right. Moving on then. Now, it seems that there's a lot of stuff going on down here, but we do have a little area back the way we came that I do want to go back and have a quick peek at. Hello there. I guess I'm just going to wait for you to approach and kill you with a sword strike. Right, what's going on down here? Nothing much. Okay, and there don't appear to be any traps. Ah, there we are. There's the way down. Now, in true roguelike fashion, don't take the shortest option to just leave where you're currently exploring. No. Go back, explore everything for those precious XPs. Mostly the XPs, not the loot. But, you know, obviously the loot is quite nice as well. Hello, bat. Take out the rat first. Oh. Well, that saved me having to try and find it. I approve. We'll allow the bat to approach. There we go. And we should be able to just walk in. Oh, hello. Walk in nicely there. Proselyte Flagellant, well, we already know what you can do. Let's step a little bit closer. If that trap was in a slightly better position, we might even be able to force you over it. Right, you're on fire now. It's the first enemy that we've actually seen be set on fire. Unfortunately, I couldn't get another attack off in time. Honestly, there's no point for me to just rush in and take you head on when I can just keep kiting you and smacking you around like this. Though I suspect we've only got one more use of our magic before you're on top of us. And there we go. And another... Ooh, this one's an unidentified mace. Let's have a look at you then. Sure, let's use an identify scroll. We've got a vampiric peasant flail. Accuracy is down. It's a bit of an ungainly weapon. Skills cost a little bit more, but it has 8% life drain and adds 6% to magic power. Now that is absolutely worth it. Armor penetration is good. Armor damage Body part damage. Body part damage is specific to, like, if we hit them in the arm, then it does that much damage to their arm. And once you get wounds on a limb, then it gets harder and harder to actually fight effectively. But yeah, we're going to swap out our sword there. I think that looks quite glorious. Very, very good. Now, if we have a look over at our stats, we should see something about that in here. We do 23% body part damage. Nice. Armor damage, the bonus damage you deal to your enemy's armor, that is the durability of the armor. And armor penetration, the amount of the armor that we flatly ignore when we're attacking. Now, let's have a look. Life drain, yeah, 6%. Percentage of attack damage you receive as health. I approve. And we're currently gaining 500% experience because we're in the prologue. And the prologue is more or less designed to give you a taster of the game prop. Oh, hello. Well, that was unfortunate. Let's smack you with some spells and continue to draw back. And we're going to use the kiting mechanic quite liberally, I'm going to be honest. Now let's have a look at you. You are a flagellant, even though you've got a bit of a different look. You've got the little whip there. Now, did we actually get any... we fumbled. Lost 6 health from crushing, but we didn't actually get any life steal. Oh, there we go. We did get a bit of life drain there. Fantastic. I approve. And we got a bandage. And another unidentified mace. Well, we definitely don't need the militia flail. That can go down. Do we have an identified scroll? Yes, we do. A balanced militia flail. But it's not particularly good, is it? It's all broken up. I wasted an identify scroll on that. Those are not easy to come by, you know, game. And let's have a look here. Disarm that. Didn't have as good a chance of disarming it as we previously did, but... we failed to pick that lock. There we go, really. Well, we got an enchantment scroll, I guess. That's not too bad. An unidentified dagger. And some hide boots. Now, are these better? They are. So I'm going to go ahead and enchant these. Can I do that? No. I'll have to do it this way. There we go. Healing hide boots. Health restoration and energy restoration. I like it. We accept. Leeches. Medicine. Morale minus 5%. People don't like using leeches. But plus 1% to body part condition and plus 25% healing efficiency and minus 0.5% intoxication. But you gain a bit of pain. I mean, you know, no pain, no gain, I guess. Right, what else we got in here? A repair kit. Restores 30 durability points to selected item. You want something done? Well, do it yourself. I approve so massively. Well, well, well. Okay, so the accuracy is down a little bit on this one. Or rather, the accuracy malice is down a little bit. Caustic damage. I think I'm going to have that as my offhand. Now, typically you would want to put the highest damage weapon in your main hand because it gets the least amount of loss due to dual wielding. However, I want the life drain weapon to have the best potential damage output because we're stealing a percentage of health. There we go. That was a really good find. So I guess we're going maces with this run. That's actually quite cool because this is not a weapon type that I have had the occasion to use. I don't know, Stardust? That sounds curious. Medicine and a drug. Intoxication plus 25%. Yeah, I expected as much. But pain, well down. Sanity down as well. Morale up though. Do not abuse Stardust while having a low sanity. Yeah. An exotic substance of mysterious origin. What will you experience this time? Enlightenment or torment? Who knows? Who knows indeed. Well, I'm going to have to wait for you to get a little bit closer, but it looks like you can't actually see me. Alright, well, we're going to swap to my bow then. My bow has a significantly better range than my spells. There we go. You're now aware that I'm here. Unsurprising, really? I'm pelting you with arrows. Okay, can I hit you with flames as well? Marvellous. And now that I... Oh, and there we go. And a level up. Nice. Okay, I approve. We are going to continue buffing willpower, but with that, maybe we should put a little bit of a buff into our accuracy, perhaps? Let's go have a look at our accuracy. Switch to my main weapons. 84.2, how much will this improve it? Not that much, honestly. Maybe a wasted skill point there. But okay, we could look into geomancy at this point, or barrel down the pyromancy skill tree, or we can go and have a look at maces. So, Onslaught. It's an active weapon skill type. Range 1, energy 19, cooldown 10, modified by strength and agility. Deliver a strike which burns 16% of a target's energy and has 61% chance to inflict knockback. If the first strike successfully knocks the enemy back, the attacker advances and delivers an extra attack with minus 70% damage and plus 51% daze chance. If you fail to inflict knockback, the cooldown is reduced by 80%. Wow. That's actually pretty cool. Dazing strikes. Mace attacks have a plus 5% daze chance. And, that increases accuracy as well. Also, Armor Break. Performs an attack with plus 26% armor penetration and plus 100% armor damage. The enemy is dazed, grant plus 22% extra damage for each remaining turn of the daze, and if they're stunned, plus 82 armor damage. Applies the enemy with plus 10% damage taken for 3 turns and minus 30% stun resistance for 3 turns. Reduces cooldown duration of this skill tree by 2 turns. Wow. I think so, yes. We are absolutely picking that up. Now, what other kind of skills have we got there? Respite is a passive, a moment of weakness. Stunned enemies take 33% more damage. And down here we've got Finish Off. Delivers a strike with plus 25% damage if the enemy's dazed. More damage, stunned, more damage. Okay, well, that's actually pretty nice, I'll be honest. Though we'll probably also have a look at the magic trees again as well, since I am using magic quite a lot, I will confess. It is a bit of a crutch. Ooh, hello. Okay, that's a bit grim, but fair enough. I mean, you know, I guess it comes with the territory of where I am right now. Sure, we'll go through this door. Let's find out what's on the other side. Open. Traps. Sneaky traps? No, no sneaky traps. Okay. I approve of the lack of sneaky traps. Another repair kit. Wow, okay. This definitely wants me to keep my gear in good repair. A round shield. Offers 2 protection. A wooden shield reinforced with a few metal plates. A common armament for Aldor's militia. Now, it has block chance and block power. To go over the way that blocking works in here, if we have a look for the block chances, here we are. So protection, the amount of physical damage you absorb. Block chance, the chance to block a melee attack, absorbing some of the damage in the process. If you have an equipped shield, you can also block ranged attacks. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. And block power, the maximum damage which you can absorb by blocking. Blocking magic and nature damage is 50% less effective. So if you do succeed in blocking, then you'll absorb your block power's worth of damage. We can actually absorb 17 damage there, but we have almost no chance of actually blocking, which is a bit of a downside. Swords, I believe, have typically a much better chance of it. There is a crowbar. I don't mind that at all. Guaranteed to pick a lock or disarm a mechanical trap, but it does have durability. Let's top up my arrows. There we go. Right, moving on then. We're actually getting a good bit of gear here. I'm really, really happy with how this run is going. Another beet. I wouldn't mind getting some fruit, honestly, because fruit tends to be a bit more thirst quenching. No traps that I can see. Nothing there. And let's have a look in here. We've got a cudgel. Not really what we want. We've got an enchantment scroll, though. Now that I wouldn't mind. Got 2 enchantment scrolls. I could drop an enchantment on my gear here. Healing doublet. Health restoration plus 1% and health plus 3. Not too bad, all things said and done. Though, I think... Let's have a look. Which one has got the most durability left? Let's apply this here. There we go. And then apply it over here as well. There we are. That's brought them both to a much better state of repair. Let's have a look at anything else needing a bit of repair. No, we seem to be good with everything else. And that repair kit now is almost used up. Hello, Bat. Actually, no, I want to... Oh, smack the door, apparently. It's not quite what I wanted. In fact, that is not true. There we go. Serves you right, silly Bat. Right, let's have a look what we've got in there. Nothing much. Okay. Right, well, what I would like to do then is get into this room. Now, this is one of the nice things about mouse movement, is you can just click anywhere in the world and you'll just wander over there. If you can actually find a path, it does save a little bit of time. But the moment you see anything like the world changes in some way, for example, there is an enemy where there wasn't one before, or there is an enemy in the room with you and it moves, then your auto-pathing will stop. And we've currently got optimism. Believing in yourself is the most important thing. Oh, what a lovely message that is. Okay, let's have a look through here. Nothing too much for us to find. Wow, really? Absolutely no value in that room. Well, that was a bit annoying. We're a bit hungry though, so let's go ahead and gobble down this beet there. I could eat the garlic. It'll help a little bit with hunger, but it'll also drop intoxication and massively boost immunity and unholy resistance. I like it. It'll spoil in 15 days, though, so, you know, we do need to keep an eye on that. But that's fantastic. All right, on to the next one, then. Let's see what we've got through here. We have got nothing so far. A bat. I'm going to have to get a little bit closer for you. I'm not going to worry about using my arrows for the bat, since we're actually getting fairly competent with my magic at this stage. There we go. And we've, of course, set it on fire. Naturally we did. Now we can't get past. There we go. Right, nothing on the shelf, unfortunately. Oh. A war scythe. Ah, good, an identification scroll. Ah, but what do I want to identify? The hat or the dagger? I think we want to go for the hat. There we go. Fortifying peasant cap. Health plus 3%. Well, isn't as good as what we had, unfortunately. I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to pick up this potion. We may find some use for it later on. Now, I don't know. I'm fairly certain that blue is better than green as a general rule, but might not always be the case. I'm not going to bring this healing salve. We've got so much healing capacity now that it's actually starting to drown my inventory a little bit. Let's have a look in there. Oh, hello. Take you out. Hopefully set you on fire. Oh, fantastic. And now you have been set on fire by walking through the flames. And that is why I don't do it. And let's go for a massive attack there. We didn't actually do too much. Yeah, you didn't seem to get messed up with that at all. Okay. Never mind. You didn't have long for the world anyway. And in here we've got... Really? Another repair kit? Wow. The game really wants me to have well-maintained gear. I approve. Take care of your tools, peeps. And with that, we are on to the next level.
The tremors are coming from upstairs. I bet everyone was taken there. I have to find my way up.
And on that note, looking at the time, this looks like the perfect place to wrap up this first part of the first taste. In the next, we will be heading up into the Abbey to find out what is really going on up there, though whether we'll actually get any answers or just more questions, that's anyone's guess, but my money is on yes. But I really hope you've enjoyed this glimpse into Stoneshard. Do let me know what you're thinking about it down below, and again, if you're interested in seeing more, then please do leave a like on the video. But that's it from me, so until next time, and as always, do take care, everyone. I'm gonna have a little rest by the fire. Oh, I'm hungry. Damn it.